This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. Well, to hear Sam Alito's wife tell it, yes, we now have to hear from the wife on the upside down flag and other symbols of hatred flown outside the Alito's household that they got caught on. To hear Martha tell it, not Martha Washington, Martha Alito. She thought it was okay to fly the flag upside down because it's an international symbol of distress. It's a distress symbol. Sure. Flying a flag upside down is a distress symbol under the way the stars and stripes are flown, but I don't get how a fight with your neighbors over their political views when you're the wife of a Supreme Court justice bails you out and allows you to do the upside down flag that you knew or should have known is also a symbol of the Jan 6th insurrectionists. And for Sam Alito to say, it's all Martha. Martha did it. Martha ate my homework. Come on. I mean, chivalry is apparently dead in the Alito household. B, grow some brass ones, Sam. I'd have a lot more respect for you if you didn't try to throw your wife in a misogynist way under the bus. 3, or whatever number I'm up to, I don't think that even though she gave an interview, apparently, Sam Alito's wife back in 2021, the New York Times saw the same piece in 2021 and ran a recent photograph showing the upside down next to their Virginia home. And then, of course, put the obvious link together. You know, this is a guy whose daily job as a Supreme Court justice is ruling on cases involving the Jan 6 insurrection and Donald Trump's ultimate immunity from it, if he has it or not. You know, we don't really see the politics in it. She was in a dispute with her neighbors, according to a quote from the Washington Post spokesperson. She was in a fight with her neighbors, and so that's an appropriate thing you do. I have a lot of flags in my life. I got one in my backyard. I got one in my home. I've never flipped it around and flown it upside down as a payback for what my neighbors have done. And I live next to a guy that had a Trump flag up next to me. I mean, I thought about some other things to do. I had my own flags ready to go, but I didn't do that either. And also, what about the decorum? You're not just Martha Alito. You're the wife of a Supreme Court justice. And for Sam Alito to be okay with it, even if that is the story, it still doesn't absolve him of the ethics problem. It still does not absolve him. And it doesn't explain the other flag that they chose to fly. You get to pick a lot of flags when you got a flagpole, right? I got a neighbor right near me. U.S. flag on the top, a country where they're from second, and the New York Rangers flag is third. Okay, I get it. But what they don't have is the pine tree flag, which is, and don't tell me it's from the 1700s or the 1800s, and that's why you flew it. It's used by insurrectionists, by people that want to overthrow democracy and want to inject more Christianity into our country, as if with this MAGA Supreme Court, there's not enough Christianity. There's plenty of Christianity as they tear down brick by brick the separation of church and state. So, all of this double talking and retrading and walking back of the flag issue is actually making it worse. I mean, what's my partner Ben Meiselas say all the time? The law of holes. That's when you just can't stop digging. Or as I like to say, they've hit rock bottom and now they've started to dig to go even lower. I mean, that's where you're at. So yes, there's new reporting that she gave the interview soon after Jan 6th and said, no, the reason I'm doing it is I'm in a fight with my neighbors. Oh, those neighbors, like she's some sort of like Dennis the Menace, shaking her fist at something. Like, oh, the dog got in the garbage again. You flip the flag upside down while your husband's a Supreme Court justice. And that doesn't absolve the family Alito, nor does the use of the flag in Long Beach Island, New Jersey, which I know well. I have friends that have homes in Long Beach Island, New Jersey. I've known it since I was a small child. It's a place where even if you live on the beach in New Jersey, sometimes you also have a home in Long Beach Island if you have a lot of money. And so I know where he's at. I know the neighborhood. Okay. He's probably been there since he was a Supreme Court justice on the New Jersey Supreme Court, which is where Sam Alito came from. I wish he'd go back. But you forfeit your right, your First Amendment right to political and free speech when you become a federal judge, and certainly when you become one of 9 that represent the judicial branch of government. You just do. And the ethics code that the Supreme Court just passed in the last 6 months says exactly that. You can't take a political position. You can't express yourself politically, whether the case is before you that's related to it or not. Now, he's going to say, well, the ethics code wasn't in place at the time that I flew these flags. So then where is the apology? And where is the recusal to take him off the bench as they consider two more decisions? And let me be clear. The Supreme Court term for 2023-2024 is effectively over. The last oral argument was the immunity oral argument involving ex-President Trump. That was the last day of oral argument. What they've been doing now since the end of April, and we're now heading into June, is they've been writing the opinions. We're waiting on a half a dozen or more opinions to be issued, printed by the court, right? With their concurrences and their dissents and their majority opinions and all of that to be issued before the June vacation hits, when they all go off to various junkets paid for by various organizations in and outside the United States. We're waiting on an abortion decision. We're waiting on a gun control decision. We're waiting on another voting rights decision. We're waiting on the immunity decision for Donald Trump and whether that case in the D.C. election interference case with Judge Chutkan is going to trial or not before the election. And we're waiting on whether two of the four counts of Donald Trump are going to survive a ruling by the United States Supreme Court as to whether obstruction of Congress applies to those that participated in the Jan 6 insurrection, and certainly if it applies to Donald Trump and the actions in his indictment. And those are the places, not that he should recuse himself, step off the bench from not hearing oral argument. Those are done. He should step off. I feel like Seinfeld. Step off, George. Step off, Sam, from participating in a deliberation of those opinions. Now, some people might say he might have already done it, right? Like the Dobbs decision, also Alito, that ripped away a woman's constitutional right to choose and overturned Roe versus Wade, that was in draft form by March, floating around. Now, the draft got leaked. The positions got hardened. The draft opinion barely changed. The final opinion barely changed from the draft opinion. And by May or so, we had the Dobbs decision. So these decisions are already in the works. He's already participated in deliberation. He might already be the author of one or more of these major decisions that I'm talking about. And now we know that he flew he had a false flag. It's a false flag event, right? We're not supposed to be questioning the allegiance to our democratic republic and our constitutional democracy of one of our Supreme Court justices. Okay, I got it. It's the first time we've ever indicted a former president because we've never had a criminal former president before or a criminal president before. It's not the American public's fault. And Sam Alito and his wife forfeited their ability to express themselves through flags when he became a United States Supreme Court justice. If he didn't want the gig, he should have stayed in Jersey. If he didn't want the gig, he should have went into private practice. Then he could fly whatever effing flag that he wants, AF. All right, so I'm fired up again every time I have to talk about Sam Alito and Martha Alito or Ginny Thomas and Clarence Thomas. My blood pressure boils. On Memorial Day weekend, as we head into the summer, awaiting these major decisions that I'm sure Sam Alito has his fingerprints all over, just like the one we got in the last couple of days, in which he basically changed the face of South Carolina politics by allowing racial gerrymandering and the bleaching of African-American voters in South Carolina. If you love that, you're going to love what Sam Alito does after he doesn't recuse himself and he issues these other opinions or participates in their deliberation and dissents and or concurrences. That's why Senator Whitehouse, Senator Durbin, Jamie Raskin are calling for hearings, subpoenaing, calling for Chief Justice Roberts to appear before committees to talk about what happened and to make sure that Alito is recused. The problem is that we've been calling for that, a recusal related to Clarence Thomas for the last 2 years. ProPublica already won a Pulitzer Prize award for investigative reporting about the ethical conflicts and breaches by Clarence Thomas, and yet he still remains on the United States Supreme Court. He still presides over cases in which there are parties in front of him that he has been on vacation with, or has taken money from. And Roberts did nothing. Right? He's asleep at the switch. He doesn't care. There's never been an ethical dilemma on that court that he hasn't found a way to run and turn tail on and ignore. That is his legacy, among other terrible decisions. The separation of church and state being destroyed under his watch. A woman's autonomy and civil rights being destroyed on his watch. The ethics of the Supreme Court laying in tatters at his feet, their legitimacy laying in tatters at his feet. He will go down, as far as I'm concerned, as one of the worst Chief Justices we've ever had in our history. And we've had a couple that were really bad. He doesn't get credit because he saved Obamacare. I know that's what a lot of, Obamacare, he saved it. I don't care. We would have found another way to give health care as a universal right. We didn't need Roberts, and he doesn't get any credit for that, given what's going on with his Supreme Court. And if he doesn't want to be the Chief Justice, then let him step down too. He didn't work his way up. He got appointed to the Chief Justice job from outside the court. He wasn't an associate justice that became a Chief Justice. He was appointed in as Chief Justice by Bush directly. Boom. I am now the presiding Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. The same guy that fumbled his way through Obama's swearing in. He couldn't remember the oath of office. That guy. If he doesn't like it, he doesn't want to be responsible, then let him resign. Let him resign now while Biden is in office, and let Biden appoint a new Chief Justice. That's the dirty little secret we don't talk about. Biden doesn't have to appoint, well, he will appoint as many as he can now and into the future until his last breath as president. But he could appoint the Chief Justice right now if Roberts stepped down. At least give us that position, right? It'll help you salvage your legacy. Well, I could go on, but I'll get off this rant and get off this particular hot take. So if you like what I'm doing, I'm Michael Popok. I'm here on the MeidasTouch Network exclusively. On Wednesdays and Saturdays, we have a show we call Legal AF. Now you know why we call it Legal AF. Join us on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We curate the top 5 stories, the intersection of law and politics. We bring it right to you here. Wednesdays, I do it with Karen Friedman-Agnifilo. Saturdays with Ben Meiselas. And then on hot takes like this one, about every hour. If you like what I'm doing, slide over to YouTube for MeidasTouch. Free subscribe. Help them get to 3 million free subscribers. When I started 4 years ago, we had, 500. So that part's doing well, but we need your help. We're building this network with your help and our bare hands. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is a fed up Michael Popok reporting.
Real quick, Meta just changed their algorithm to suppress political content. Please follow our Instagram at MeidasTouch right now as we head towards 400,000 followers so you don't miss a beat.